US President Donald Trump seems to have made a deal with Iran that is absolutely unacceptable to Israel. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu today furiously criticized Donald Trump for making concessions to Iran. Trump and Netanyahu held urgent phone talks regarding the future of the conflict with Iran. And, as stated by Netanyahu's office, the conversation between the politicians was tense and revealed their different views on further actions regarding the war in the Middle East. Netanyahu advocates for a more aggressive approach toward Tehran, while the White House is still trying to find a diplomatic solution to the situation. In the end, as reported by Axios, Netanyahu was furious because Trump ultimately agreed to the deal proposed by Qatar and Pakistan. Allegedly, they completely disregarded the opinion, as was stated. So, what is the main disagreement? Let's discuss it together. My name is Alexi Pichi, and let's talk about this topic together. But first, before we begin, I ask you to subscribe to this YouTube channel, like this episode, leave any comment under the video, and subscribe to my Telegram channel, Peachy News. The link to it is in the description of this video. We cover actions regarding the war and news as they come in. The link to it is in the description of this video. There we publish breaking news as it comes in. So, as reported by numerous media outlets both in the US and in Israel, President Trump and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu discussed new attempts to reach an agreement with Iran during a difficult phone conversation. At the same time, one of the sources said that after the conversation, quote, Netanyahu's hair was on fire. Well, that is, he was just incredibly furious after this conversation, and here I should immediately note that. At the same time, there was news that Iran's supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, ordered that Iranian negotiators under no circumstances agree to the export of enriched uranium from Iran. That is, he ordered that this uranium must remain on Iranian territory, although Trump had insisted on the opposite. He demanded that it be handed over to the Americans. And so, according to sources, Qatar and Pakistan, with the involvement of other regional mediators, have prepared a revised peace memorandum to try to overcome the differences between the US and Iran. This comes amid Donald Trump's hesitation regarding the order for a massive strike on Iran and his desire to make a deal. Netanyahu is extremely skeptical about the negotiations and, on the contrary, wants to resume the war in order to further weaken Iran's military potential and undermine the regime by destroying its most important infrastructure. Trump continues to state that, in his opinion, an agreement can be reached, but he is ready to resume the war if that does not happen. Well, as Trump himself said, quote, the only question is whether we will see it through to the end or they will sign some document. We'll see what happens. The US and Iran are on the brink of reaching a deal or resuming war. And the most upsetting thing was that Trump also publicly stated, quote, Netanyahu will do whatever I want him to do. Although I noted that they have a good relationship. But essentially, Trump, publicly insulted Netanyahu and said, I'll tell him and he'll do it. He doesn't care about his opinion at all. I should note that the two leaders had temporary disagreements over Iran before, but throughout the war they remained closely coordinated. And so, according to sources, Pakistan, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Egypt have been working over the past few days to refine a proposal to resolve the disagreements between the US and Iran. According to two Arab officials and an Israeli source, Qatar recently presented a new peace initiative to the US and Iran. One Arab official said that the Qataris sent a delegation to Tehran earlier this week to negotiate with the Iranians regarding the latest draft agreement. Nevertheless, the Iranian Foreign Ministry stated on Wednesday that the talks are ongoing, but they are continuing exclusively on the basis of Iran's 14-point proposal. Also, Pakistan's Interior Minister is in Tehran to assist with mediation. Qatar claims they've supposedly proposed their own deal and are discussing it with the Iranians. The Iranians say that they are only willing to continue negotiations based on their own demands. And the goal of all these new efforts is to get more concrete commitments from the Iranians regarding steps within their nuclear program, and also to get more detailed information from the US about how the frozen Iranian assets will be gradually unfrozen. But it's still unclear whether the Iranians will agree to the new proposal or significantly change their position. Qatar stated, Quote, as mentioned earlier, Qatar has supported and continues to support mediation efforts led by Pakistan. We consistently advocate for de-escalation of the conflict. It is in the interests of the region and its people. And now, after all these attempts by the Qataris to somehow establish a dialogue between Tehran and Washington, Donald Trump had this long and difficult phone conversation with Netanyahu. Donald Trump informed Netanyahu that intermediaries are working on a memorandum of intent, which the US and Iran will sign to formally end the war, and importantly, the start of a 30-day negotiation period on issues such as the Iranian nuclear program and the opening of the Hormuz Strait. So, let me emphasize again, this is not a peace agreement. This is not the end of the war. This is a memorandum of intent. Just to make it clear that, okay, at this stage, we won't be bombing anyone. And for 30 days, we begin a negotiation-only process. But Trump and Netanyahu had disagreements about the next steps, and a source in the US said that, quote, Bibi's hair was on fire after the conversation. Well, that's just an idiom, meaning he was so furious that his hair practically caught fire. In particular, the Israeli ambassador in Washington informed American lawmakers that Netanyahu was concerned about this call. Netanyahu was extremely concerned during previous stages of the negotiations, even when the deal didn't go through, and some people are hinting that, well, he's always concerned, nothing serious has happened. Let me say right away, something clearly happened. Understanding the negotiation context is important. A representative of the Iranian Ministry of Foreign Affairs stated that for the negotiations to succeed, the US must stop its piracy against Iranian ships and agree to unfreeze the funds. And Israel must stop the war in Lebanon. These are the prerequisites for even starting the negotiations. Trump stated that the war could resume very quickly if, quote, we don't get the right answer, but he is ready to give the negotiations a few more days. But the fact that Trump seems ready to make a deal with Iran, which is completely unacceptable to Israel, is just obvious. The thing is, right after his conversation with Donald Trump, Netanyahu announced that he wants to urgently come to Washington in the coming days for a personal meeting with Trump. And this indicates that Netanyahu wants to personally persuade Trump not to make a mistake after all. I'll leave it at that. Share your opinions and conclusions in the comments under this video. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and don't forget to like. That's all for now. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye, everyone.